right, cool, man. Hey, everybody, I'm just going to assume that we are actually live in Facebook right now and have some faith. So thank you. I want to introduce a friend of mine, gotten to know him over the past several years. He's the real deal, really is out there doing it, not only doing what he trains, he's training. I'm always seeing him different places. Matter of fact, I sit there and say, how does he have this much energy? My friend, the Luxury Listing Specialist, Michael LaFido. How are you, Michael?
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing, brother?
I can't complain. Every day above earth is a new life.
Yeah, I'm getting older where I'm seeing a lot of people pass away and stuff, so you're absolutely right. Every day's a gift.
Dude, and we're in the fourth quarter, bro.
Yeah, my wife likes to remind me I'm closer to 50.
Yeah, me too, but I deny it. Anyways, what are we talking about today? We want to talk about some cool stuff to help these agents out there, right? What are we going to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about ways for agents to increase their average sale price. So here we are, February, start of 2020, right? So we are in a commission-based industry. So if agents can increase their average sale price, they can make more per deal. They can make more than they did last year, and they can attract more opportunities of high-end clients. So we're going to talk about that today.
Man, let me preface this with, this is one of my favorite topics as a coach, as a productivity coach. This was always one of my favorite topics. And I used to say it this way: if you want to have a 25% increase in your bottom line, then you need to either increase 25% worth of sales. You need to have a 25% increase in average sale price, or a 25% increase in your commission. Which one's the easiest, right? And for me, the easiest is to focus on maybe the neighborhood down the street, and where that neighborhood might be 300, and I'm selling 240 as my average sale price.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to jump deep into that, because chances are you going from, say, 3 apples to, if you want to have a 20% increase, that'd be 3.6 apples. Is probably going to be difficult, because there's so much downward pressure and rebates and everything else like that going on. It's going to be hard for you to get that increase in the commission area if you would. And so we look at the house down the street, the neighborhood down the street. Or we could sell more houses, which is logical too, right? But what if you're able to sell more houses and increase the sales price? Now you just went from a 25% to a 35, 45, 50% increase, whatever you're looking to do.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think you bring up a good point. So, there's a lot of downward pressure on fees and everything else. So with that being said, one of the ways that agents can bridge the gap is to increase their average sale price. And so that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on today. I have some good visuals. I have, if you will, a PowerPoint presentation. I'd love to share some good, some good data and some good visuals to help these agents, break into that. So let me know.
And before we get going, if you people don't know who Michael is, right? And before I even say that, if you're listening live, put an L. If you're listening to the recording, put an R. And if there's anything that we say that really, or Michael, either of us say that you really enjoy or whatnot, give us some hearts on that so we can make sure that, we're doing a good job. But anyways, Michael, like I said, he's the real deal. He's out there listing multi-million-dollar properties in Chicagoland. He's training people from around the country. He's helping those people through his training and his certification list more properties. But also, he's married, and you have, what, 3 kids?
3 kids, yes.
And you're involved with them, and you bring them to see the cars and everything else like that, which I think is cool. So you're not just some single dude that's out there because you have infinite amount of time. You're normal. You're a normal dude with a drive.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm normal, and I doubt my wife would say that, but
not in the mental sense, brother.
No, I know, but I'm based in the Chicagoland market, and we have more than a year, but in most markets, when I say market, in most towns in the Chicagoland market, there's 2, 3, 4, 7 years of inventory in the upper price points. So again, I think it's a little bit easier to be a $1 million agent in some of these markets where, Beverly Hills, New York, and that sort of thing. But we are ingrained in a buyer's market, right? Illinois is a lot like New Jersey, New York, and California, where we have more people leaving the state than coming in because of high taxes. So it's really out of necessity that we've always had to be aggressive and think outside the box. And so it's along those principles we launched our Luxury Listing Specialist Certification Designation. We launched our podcast, and that's really what we're doing. We're taking best practices in a difficult market to move these homes, because again, in a seller's market, you don't have to be as creative and aggressive, because you can be proactive and the property will sell for itself.
Yeah, I hear that. And you hit on something, and this is where I hope people really listen and don't hear. And I'm on this whole psychological inward looking thing. There's a big difference, y'all, between listening and hearing. Hearing is physical, listening is psychological. So I hope that you don't just hear what we're saying. I hope you listen to what is being said, because Michael said that there was a few states where people are leaving in groves, right? And they are. And they're going to places. And where are they going? And are you in that market? Because I can tell you a lot of people leave in Chicago, and I can tell you where they're going in Florida, right? Because I research that stuff. Same with New York. I mean, you got 95 coming straight down Michigan, you got, or 75, and you got 95 on the other side. The people from California going to Idaho, going to Arizona, going to Texas. Are you in those markets? That means you should be marketing to those exiting markets if there's a lot of people moving from those areas to your area. So listen outside the box. Don't just think. Listen to what's being said and really comprehend it. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So like from agent lingo, we call those migration markets, but consumers and other agents might refer to it as feeder markets. You got to know your feeder markets or your migration markets, where people are coming to and from. Build relationships with those. I just was at a big national conference last week, and networking with people both locally and internationally, because you just don't know. I'm going to be in Canada next week at the Realty 2020 conference presenting. And so again, getting out there, building relationships, because what used to be real estate locally is really global today, especially with those upper price points.
Mm-hmm. And it can be, and you might be in a market, and this isn't all markets, it's a small market where there's a lot of overseas money coming. Right? Where's that money coming from? Because you can advertise there, right? You can put the hook out to those areas. So be aware of those migrating markets. Where are the people coming from? And there's tools out there. There's tools out there to be able to get that, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen here, and
all right.
Boom. All right. Let me know when you can see my can you see my screen here?
Yes, sir. With all the
yes,
whatever
sir.
they are.
Yep. All right. So perfect. So we're going to talk about how to increase your average sale price in the next 90 days. Again, I'm not talking 3 years, 5 years, next 90 days. So if you're an agent and you want to differentiate yourself from the competition, you're looking for a wide open niche, and you're open to new marketing strategies, then what I'm about to share with you in the next 45 minutes is going to be really meaningful. It's not a bunch of theories or fluff from a former agent or a magic pill. I'm not going to share with you a magical website. Okay, these are proven systems that work in various price points and various parts of the world. Again, none of it works all the time, but the vast majority of it works the majority of the time. Again, as Johnny mentioned, I'm a founder of the Luxury Listing Specialist, written books and have podcasts, travel all across the country, all that good stuff. If you do like free, by the way, we do have a podcast. It's on iTunes and Stitcher. It's called Luxury Listing Specialist. We just released our 78th episode. We have some really amazing interviews on there. We release one podcast a week for a month. Again, I'm a former PE teacher, gym teacher, health teacher, football coach. I got a 19 on my ACT, Johnny, and that's not good. And so I went into this business as a part-time agent, and I looked at it as if I could make another $8,000, $10,000 a year, that's the equivalency of coaching a couple sports, I'd be happy. But through being creative and being aggressive, I quickly compounded, clients. And, in 2007, I was the second leading producer for the entire Midwest for a major franchise called Realty Executives. And I naturally had people calling me saying, hey, how are you doing it? So I went from entry-level properties like a little condo in this building to representing three properties. The middle one was Architectural Digest, most beautiful home for sale. We did an event. I brought my kid to this event. We had 40 exotic cars here valued at over $10 million. This was a pretty cool property. The property to the right, we brought in $2.5 million worth of vehicles for our photo shoot and our video shoot. So I've done tons of seminars, online events like today, hosted certification trainings globally. Last year we did 34 live trainings, but we're going to talk about why you're here. The 3 ways that you can increase your average sale price and double your commissions in the next 90 days. Number 1 is the solid foundation, Johnny. Number 2 is your marketing blueprint. And number 3 is positioning power. So let's get right into number 1, the solid foundations. Again, plenty of case studies, agents that have doubled their fees, and doubled their commissions, doubled their number of sales. Just don't take my word for it, but the solid foundation. So just like building a home, if you build a home on weak soil or weak foundation, there's a lot of negative things that can occur, right? So door jams, your foundation cracks, the house tilts, all these other things, basement takes in water. So building your business on a solid foundation is just as important as well. So I tell agents all the time, Johnny, when you grow your knowledge, your confidence will grow. So those of you that are on here today, you're here to learn some new tips and some strategies, right, to grow your knowledge. Well, if you get those tips and those strategies and those systems, you'll be more confident. If you're more confident, you'll have less fear. If you have less fear, Johnny, then you will do some prospecting and lead generation, perhaps in that zip code down the street that has more high-end and luxury properties.
I agree. You gotta,
Go ahead.
It's all about up here. Everything, mindset, knowledge, everything else like that. That's the only way we can really, truly execute or come from contribution is by knowing.
Well, you're absolutely right. And so our first pillar we're talking about is the foundation. But if I were to give a one-word answer to what another word for foundation is, it would be mindset. If I were to give a second word, it would be your environment. So mindset and your environment, your surroundings. So I tell agents all the time, garbage in, garbage
out.
No, unfortunately, that's not the case, but most people say that. It's actually garbage in, Johnny, garbage stays. Think about it. The doom and gloom media, constant negative news.
And you get me on this one every time. I'm going to tell you what.
Well, we are ingrained to say garbage in, garbage out, but it's not the truth, okay? Maybe you've been, in college and you had some negative people sit next to you, or in your office. Someone's always complaining about the broker or the marketing, or it's cold in this office, or why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? They do this.
Zillow sucks. Yeah.
Zillow, focusing on the competition versus what you can do. And so again, unfortunately, garbage in, Johnny, garbage stays. So Lisa Hayes says it better than I can. She said, be careful how you talk to yourself, because guess what, Johnny? You are listening to yourself. So what do you consistently feed your brain? Are you listening positive thoughts? My daughter, who's 7 years old, in second grade, last night when I was tucking her in, she said, Alexa, tell me the good news for the day. And I didn't even know what she was talking about. But each day, I guess she's been doing this, and Alexa gives a uplifting little story about something. And I told Gianna, I said, this is awesome. You're going to bed with some positive, uplifting thoughts. And it's not just as a 7-year-old, but it's also as an adult, as a parent, as a grandparent. How are you talking to yourself? So Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. Go figure out what someone successful is doing and use that as a model and tweak it and make it your own. So Johnny, there's 4 primary price points, whether you're on the East Coast, the West Coast, Canada, Mexico, wherever you're at. There's 4 primary price points in most markets. You have entry-level pricing for that given market. That could be starter homes would be another way of saying it. You have entry level, you have average price properties for that given market. That's that second bucket listed here. The third bucket is high-end pricing or high-end homes for your given market, which is defined, I personally define that as prices that are 2 times the average sale price for your given market. And then the fourth bucket would be luxury, and luxury pricing for any given market is what we define as 3 times the average sale price. So if the average sale
3 times the average sale price.
Correct. So let's just say in this scenario, Johnny, the average sale price for the market that you serve is $250,000. Well, that would be bucket number 2. So entry level would be anything below that. high-end pricing would be 2 times the average sale price. So it's from $250 to $499, you know, would be in the average, and the high-end bucket would be $500 to $749.99. Why that? Because 250 times 3 is and above is what we call luxury. Okay, so again, if you were, let's just say, Johnny, you look back at the homes you sold in 2019, and let's say for the sake of this conversation, you sold 20 of them. Well, if 20 of them out of those breakdowns, you sold 9 in the starter home price point or bucket, 7 in the average, 4 in the high end, you know, based on a 3% gross commission, you'd be making around $150,000 a year. Well, if you could shift things around a little bit and add a couple more to high end and diversify your portfolio a little bit more on the high end, you could increase your average sale price, make a lot more money selling those same 20 homes. So it's not rocket science, but the problem is most people, there's reasons they don't even attempt that, which we'll cover in a minute. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out the 7 benefits of selling high-end homes. Number 1, higher paychecks. Number 2, more profitable. Number 3, both a better return on investment and a return on impression. That's what the ROI squared is, investment and impression. Number 4, better referrals. Number 5, more time off, because again, you're making more money on these big deals, more credibility, and it's more fun. And I believe the fastest way for anybody on this training to get instant credibility from their database and their sphere and people that know them, like them, trust them. Matter of fact, people that you don't even think you know, but they know you at the supermarket because you do a lot of advertising, is you list and you market that high-end property. Fastest way. There was an agent that was one of these $1 million agents that co-marketed Michael Jordan's home, whose home is still on the market in Chicagoland for about 8 years. And they're no longer even associated with the sale of that home, but they still get interviews and they get doors open with business opportunities because they were associated with this trophy listing. Now, if you can sell these high-end and trophy listings, you know, it'll open even more doors. But there are a lot of misconceptions, or I like to call them limiting beliefs, about selling high-end and luxury properties. Number 1, you got to be a top producer or a veteran agent to sell luxury homes. You personally need to be wealthy, or live in a big home, or drive a certain car, or be with a certain office. Or, Mike, there's 4 other luxury agents in my market. I can't compete against them. These are all false, false, false. And if you tell yourself that, you'll start to believe it.
So this is great, because Tristan did ask a question: how would somebody get started into luxury? Some first steps. So these are great. Some of the first steps is, again, back to the foundation of mindset. Get these things out. Get this garbage out of your head.
Number 1 is the foundation. That's why I start with it. It's not some thingamajigger or a magical website, Johnny. It is the mindset. It's feeding your brain. And there's so much free content out there, from podcasts to trainings, to iron sharpens iron, right? You go to these conferences, you meet with some of these people, you learn from them. Sometimes you go to these conferences and you're sitting next to a top agent or a luxury agent, and you're like, man, if they can do it, so could I, right? So sometimes you're looking at the mirror and you're the person that is that's holding you back. So
100%.
You know, so when I mentioned earlier, grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow, you might say, well, that's great, but how do I grow my knowledge? Well, number 1, you need to know the ins and the outs of the company you're with. Okay, that's the company's unique value proposition. You need to know your clients. So before you meet with a buyer or a seller, are you Googling them? Are you doing a social media scrub? Are you trying to figure out what their likes, their interests are, the similar?
Because they're Googling and checking you out on Facebook too.
They're checking you out too, which means you need to look at your social media presence.
Yeah.
Is there some consistency between your branding and your photos and your descriptions? Is your contact information updated and correct? That's a whole nother hour-long topic in itself, Johnny. Number 3, knowledge of your competition. We know we don't talk bad about our competition, but you better know what they think makes them different and unique. Okay, so you need to know the ins and outs, because if you were interviewing me, Johnny, and you were with XYZ Realty, you were interviewing me, and I also know you were interviewing somebody with XYZ Realty, I better know what XYZ Realty, what they think is different and unique about them, because because I might have to alter my presentation a little bit based on who you're interviewing.
Yeah.
Number 4 is you need to have a unique value proposition for you as an agent. You're a radio, an elevator pitch. Why should somebody hire you over the competition? Because if you're with Remax and you just talk about how great Remax is, or EXP, or Sotheby's, it doesn't matter who, and you just talk about your brand, well, I've been on appointments and I know there's people I've coached that have told me, Mike, I got the listing because I not only talked about, number 1, the knowledge of my company, but I talked about, number 4, what made me different and unique as an agent. And the other agent just talked about their brand, their brokerage. I talked about the brokerage and my personal brand. Okay, so you got to know both. Number 5 is you got to know the ins and outs of the market. Okay, is it a buyer's market overall? Is it a neutral market? Is it a seller's market? And you need to know the various price points. And you got to be likable. Theodore Roosevelt once said, nobody cares how much you know until they know you care. So be likable.
Be likable.
That's more difficult for some people than others. The D's, the drivers, they want to get it done. Like, I'm a high D. Like, I got to slow down and listen a little bit more and be more present in the moment, because I got so much information I want to share, or I want to bottom line it and just let's get rolling. I'm excited. I know I can get it done. And you have to,
Wait, dude, I'm glad you're saying this. You have to have restraint. You have to have, you gotta, I was just looking for my book over there. You gotta set it up. You gotta ask the questions. You gotta have the right tonality, not being too fast because you want to tell them everything. And oh my God. You need to control the conversation. Say what you mean, right? Say it. End with a question, get the confirmation, keep moving forward, because you need to overcome those barriers. You need to bring that trust down. And when you get all those yeses out of the way, it's real easy, but it's systematic. So yeah, I want to make a suggestion. You mentioned podcasts, those types of things.
Yes.
Y'all, I'm going to hurt your brain right now. I'm going to hurt it real bad. Go on YouTube, go on a podcast, find some Tom Hopkins, find some Zig Ziglar. Okay, listen to how they control. They're master salespeople. Listen, and we're salespeople. No matter how much we want to cut it,
Right.
how much we want to deny it, we're salespeople.
Sure.
But listen to how they structure their sentence. Listen to how they end everything with a question. How they close people, and they got different terms: the assumptive close, the calculator close. Right? There's all sorts of different closes. Learn some closing techniques, and then all this stuff is so easy and secondary, because let me tell you about my company. Do you have any further questions? Okay, so you know the type of client they are. You have knowledge of the competition, right? You can close it. Are you interviewing with anybody else? Oh, they're a great company, right?
Mm-hmm. Ask the questions.
You got to control it with the questions, is my point. But listen to some Tom Hopkins.
Yeah, you do control it with the questions, but then the second part of that is you got to be great listeners, right? So there's a reason we got 2 ears and 1 mouth, and many people are not even listening. They want to answer the next question, or they're thinking about what they're going to say next, and they're not fully engaged, or they're not being present in the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%.
So, good visuals are important. You got to have good visuals when you're in front of a buyer and a seller. This is a great visual from my friends at Keeping Current Matters.
That's a great company.
Great
for money too.
$25 a month. It's a no-brainer.
Y'all should be on it.
Yeah, you go Keeping Current Matters, or try kcm.com. But anyways, month supply. So again, 7 or more months, Johnny, is a buyer's market. You got to have great visuals when you're sitting down in front of a seller, because they don't know what a buyer's market is, or sellers, or a neutral market. So you got to explain that. So I tell agents all the time, you got to know the numbers in your market, and you got to know when the pendulum shifts. The pendulum shifts from a seller's market to a neutral market to a buyer's market at some price point. Every market's different. Mm-hmm. And so you need to know that, because if I'm sitting across the table from you, Johnny, a seller, and you say, man, I hear it's a hot market, multiple offers, and overall that might be the case, but in your price point, because you're in the upper end, it's 2, 3. I just sold a home a month ago. There were 7 years of inventory above $2 million in the town of Barrington Hills, Illinois. 7 years. 5 sold last year above $2 million, and 33 are on the market. That's 7 years of inventory. We had 7 showings in 7 months, which doesn't sound a lot based on entry-level price points. Some people have 7 showings in a day, but in that top 5%, that's good activity. And again, you got to manage the client's expectations, and you can't do that if you don't know your numbers. This is a great story. This gal here, I helped her secure a $5.1 million listing appointment. She lacked the knowledge and the confidence to step out of her comfort zone and do some prospecting in those zip codes. So Tristan asked a great question, and he said, well, give us some nuggets on how people can get in front. What was, do you have it in front of you exactly what he said?
Well, I got the message right here that I saw that says, how would somebody get started in luxury? Some first steps.
All right, so the first step is the foundation, the mindset. Second step, it's not rocket science. Look in your area, look to see where some of those upper end homes are, and go to these broker tours or open houses during the week. Okay, contact the agents ahead of time. Hey, Johnny Mo, I see you got this listing over at 123 Main Street. I see you have a broker open on Tuesday. I'm planning on attending. Would you have any problem, Johnny, if I did shot a video and took some pictures, and I would tag you? We're friends on Facebook, or maybe we're not. So I would tag you or mention you in my video, as well as my comments, that you're the listing agent with XYZ Realty. And if there's a single property website you want me to mention or tag, I'll do that as well. Would you have a problem with that, Johnny?
You just made people's heads explode, because wait a minute, you're going to mention the listing agent? You're going to tag them? It's all about, but it's all about me, Michael.
Yeah. So first off, most listing agents don't get it, and I'd say half will say no to that request, but that's okay. You're not looking for all of them. If you ask 6 and you get 3, then there you go. Okay, but if you get a no, you're that much closer to a yes. But that's that mental toughness, right? Most agents give up because we don't like. Nobody likes rejection, Johnny.
We hate it.
But again, so you see what I did there? So there's something in it for you, the listing agent, to allow me to do that, because I'm tagging you and I'm giving more exposure. And I'm doing this, Johnny, because I want to attract buyers. I want to bring a buyer to your listing. That's why I'm going there.
Yeah.
Right?
No doubt. And they want a buyer.
They want a buyer. And so what happens is, when you step out of your comfort zone and you go to some of these price points in these homes, like I was just at a national conference. I was at that Keller Williams big national conference, and they had a private party at this 37,000 square foot home. Wow. And again, that's a monstrosity, and we don't see those larger homes even in the Chicagoland market. And so my point is, when you step out of your comfort zone, and I was comfortable, by the way, but when you step outside of your farming area and zip codes that you normally don't market to, or your price point, you'll start to be a little bit more confident. When you're more confident, you might start doing some prospecting or generate, lead gen in those areas. So number 1 is your mindset. Number 2 is do some broker opens. Number 3 would be work open houses for other agents in your office that maybe have some of those upper end price points. Now, if we were to role play on that, Johnny, and you're the listing agent on 123 Elm, and you're out of my office, ring, ring. Hey, Johnny.
Hey,
it's Mike LaFido from the office. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing, dude?
Good, man. Good. Hey, real quick, you got 123 Elm Street, that listing over there?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if the sellers are on you about doing something different or pressuring you. I know you've had it on for some time, but I'd love to host an open house over there. I don't know if that's something you've done or you're open to.
You want to host it?
I'd love to host an open house. I think we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. 1, maybe get the sellers off of your rear end, but number 2, we can get a lot more online exposure. I go to, as you know, Johnny, I go to a lot of these big conferences, and the Redfins and the Zillows and some of these big companies, they tell us that when you do open houses on your listings, you'll get more clicks and more views on your properties versus the competition. So even if we don't get much activity, Johnny, you can tell your sellers that you're going to get more clicks and views those weeks, or that week we're doing it, which increases the probability that you have qualified showings.
Hey, no problem, dude. When you want to do it.
So you see what I've just done there? I've addressed the elephant in the room. I addressed the elephant in the room to you, the listing agent. Why the heck would I have another agent do it? Well, to get the sellers off of your rear end, to show them you're doing something different, and also let them know, manage their expectations, Mr. and Miss Seller. We might get 0 people through. It's not a complete waste of our time, even if that does occur. Of course, we do want qualified people through there, but worst case scenario, we don't get anybody. We'll still get more clicks and more views that week that we're doing it.
So was able to be mentored and go to a mastermind that Kevin Harrington hosted or was part of several years ago, one of the sharks. And the thing that he told me was leverage is the key to success. Leverage. I mean, there's lots of other keys, right? Many keys to that kingdom, but leverage is one of the keys to the success. And what just happened there was leverage. And I actually trained, Michael, leverage goes both ways. So I'm able to leverage you. I'm the busy agent, right? I'm able to leverage you, the not so busy agent, and you're able to leverage me in reverse because you're not so busy and maybe I need some time. So see how that leverage goes both ways. It has a beginning. It has two sides. Be on either side and utilize leverage however you can to your advantage, right? Because one doesn't just end up in luxury. You don't just get your license and I've arrived. There's a process you have to go through, right? You got to get the knowledge. It's the PhD of selling. You got to learn that market and everything else like that. But by leveraging other people that are where you want to be, it's powerful.
Yeah, no, you're down with OPP. Remember that song? I call that other people's property. Okay? So you got to leverage other people's properties. In this case, other people's listings. Okay, so leverage is the new hustle. We spoke at the Lab Coat Agent big event last year, and that was kind of their tagline: is leverage is the new hustle. So absolutely leveraging other people's properties. Okay. So I talked about broker opens, building up your confidence, your mindset, doing Facebook Lives there. Now, I think it was Adam Contos, the CEO of Remax, that posted something once where he says people will scroll the height of the Statue of Liberty on their smartphone each day. They're scrolling through their feed. Oh, look at Johnny. He's at that big old mansion. My phone's on mute. I don't even know what the hell you're saying. Excuse my language, but that's cool. I saw you at that big house, John. And then people start associating you with it.
Little brand. Psst.
Yep.
Right inside the brain.
Yep. So let's keep rolling. Those are a couple of ways you can do that. And this is what a 30% raise, we talked about 3 ways you can make more money, John. You said sell more homes. Number 2 is increase what you charge, or at least protect your fee by justifying your fee, right? I know what
you're saying the same stuff, man. Wavelength.
I know what the Sherman antitrust law says, so I'm not telling everybody what to charge, but I am saying if you bring more value to the table and the seller can net more money because of your services, your marketing, and your negotiating, you shouldn't have to discount. And unfortunately, when agents increase their average sale price, many compete by lowering their fee, and don't do that if you bring more value to the table. All right, so this is what a 30% raise would look like. If your average sale price is $200, personally, if we can get you from $200 to $260, that would be a 30% raise selling the same number of homes if your average sale price goes up by 30%. These are the various scenarios there. So what would that do for your business? Well, imagine that. Now, Roger Bannister was the first person ever to run the mile under 4 minutes, going back, 65 years ago, okay? Now, what would that do for you if you could break into some of those barriers? Do you realize within 2 years after Roger ran that same mile under 4 minutes, there were 37 others that ran that same mile under 4 minutes? And guess what, Johnny? It wasn't because Nike came out with these new comfortable shoes or Gatorade came out with an energy drink. It was because if Roger could do it, so could I.
Yeah, so, somebody has to be the first.
Someone's got to be the first. Marketing blueprint. So that's the second module today. And I'll go through this a little bit quicker here. So number 1 was mindset. The first rule of thumb in marketing is get people's attention. There's over 1.3 million realtors out there. Everybody knows a real estate agent. So you can't think like a real estate agent. You got to think like a marketer. You got to.
Hallelujah, brother. If I could hug you, I'd hug you right now.
Yeah, that's kind of my tagline. It's not the market, it's the marketing. So how do you define insanity when it comes to luxury? I define it as doing the same things over and over again. Now, if you remember the movie Meet the Parents with Robert De Niro, he talked about the circle of trust. Well, it is very difficult to penetrate the circle of trust in the high net worth space. So I'm going to give some some tips right now. First, before I do that, Reader's Digest listed the most trusted professionals a few years back, and real estate agents came in at number 35, Johnny, just above sex workers. That's not good, okay? So the point is, most people look real estate agents as the car salesman, as not a trusted advisor, but as a salesperson.
I shared it in LCA last, maybe 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and Nick shared it maybe a month and a half prior or something. I think it was Nick. And yeah, this is spot on stuff, man. It's scary.
Thank you. Well, the good news is there's a lot of traditional agents out there, and there's a lot of dinosaurs out there. So this might be just a simple reminder. This might not be an earth-shattering concept, but remember it when you're posting something, when you're meeting with a potential seller on a listing appointment, you're meeting with a buyer, you're creating content. The most listened to radio station that prospective buyers and sellers and current clients listen to is What's in It for Me. They don't care about your awards. They don't care about that I go to these conferences. They do care about I go to these conferences to learn best strategies so I can implement them on their property, which would benefit them. They care about that, but they don't care about, so remember what's in it for them. The most listened to radio station that real estate agents should listen to is AAT, All About Them. Listen. So I get asked all this, and I could go, I wish we had more time, but the first three things I would do if I had to start all over, if I were to move to your market, Johnny, number one, I would join a chamber of commerce that services the upper end market. So if my chamber, I'm in a lower end market, join the chamber down the road. Okay. And then eventually I would start my own group, but that's a little bit more complex. Number two, I would invest in a mentor or work with an office that specializes and has a high-end clients. Number three, I would do some prospecting. So you see warm, cold. There's really two forms of marketing. There's warm marketing, which is people that know you, like you, and trust you. And there's cold marketing, canceled, FISBOs, open houses, okay? I would do both. I still do lead generation, but eventually you'll build. I haven't done lead gen in 3+ years. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do it again because I brought on a new team member, but again, warm marketing versus cold marketing.
Let me just interject. There's a reason that there's this local map behind me, is because I built my business before there was Facebook, before there was Zillow. So I had to go networking. Okay. I had to meet people. Networking is so powerful. Belonging to the chamber is so powerful. Belonging to the Rotary is so powerful. I'm going to say this. We get lazy and we want to do it online. But when you look at the NAR stats for where buyers found their agent and where sellers found their agent, it's like 54 and 64% respectively. Buyers, sellers were some form of sphere. They knew them, worked with them previously, was a friend, family member, or was referred by a colleague or coworker. So by doing what you're talking about, you're getting to know people, you're getting to stay in their face, you're getting to become that person in the community. Networking so powerful, y'all, but so many people overlook it. Sorry, go on.
No, you're absolutely right. There's a saying that I say, and don't take offense to this, but shy real estate agents have skinny kids. Okay, if you're going to be shy, you're not going to network. You're not going to ask for business cards. You're not going to give. By the way, I love giving business cards out, but I love asking for their contact information as well and getting their card, because now you can control that. You can't control, are they going to call me? Are they going to call me? But you can call them. You can call them. So again, handwritten notes, following up. Do you remember show and tell as a kid, Johnny?
Yes, sir.
So it was one of my favorite days. So this is a picture of my middle son, my middle child, Vince. He's in second grade now, but he's in third grade now. But at the time he was in first grade, and unbeknownst to my wife and I, he was supposed to bring something for show and tell. That started with the letter M. Well, he brought my copper mug that says Tito's on the side because it is it's Daddy's Moscow Mule mug. It had 3 M's, and it's a funny story. Luckily, the DCFS didn't call us because the teacher realized it was a joke, and he didn't ask us, and there was no alcohol, so it was just a copper mug. But what does this have to do with real estate? Is we are in a show and tell industry, Johnny. That's why Facebook Live videos, or maybe somebody in your office has a record sale, or maybe you do. Okay, if this was your record sale, hey, Johnny, awesome job on getting that home sold in Wheaton. It's a record sale in the area. I'd love to post about it and tag you, give you credit. Would you mind if I did that? It's a huge sale for our office.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, so leveraging OPP, other people's property, okay? So this is something that you can do if you are breaking into high-end and luxury. You can leverage other people's. You can do cancel and expireds. That's something that's, I think, low-hanging fruit. You can start your own networking group. I don't have enough time to kind of go into this, but on your, if you know, when you do go to a chamber or you do start your own networking group, you tell people who you are, what your ideal client is. So my name is Johnny Moe. My ideal client is someone looking to buy or sell. Or
what's your client avatar, man? That's basic business. Yeah.
But here's one that I love saying too, though. My ideal client isn't just someone that's looking to buy or sell, or perhaps, Johnny, they're already on the market and they are sick and tired of being sick and tired and they want a second opinion because they're not happy with the results they're getting.
Yeah.
So again, I'm check with your broker owner, but you know, again, if you can't solicit, however, if somebody that's on the market contacts you, you can call them back. Check with your broker to make sure that's the case in your state. Number one, you got to know your story. Number two, you got to share with what's working in your business. So for example, one of the things that we, when we do our live trainings, our live luxury specialist trainings,
I love this.
Members our video book. And so I bring these on our listing appointments. It's show and tell. I was on a, $2 million listing appointment this morning, $2 million earlier this week. I bring this and I share videos. Again, differentiate yourself. And again, we are in a show and tell industry.
And Michael, you would agree, right, man? Every listing, I mean, it's a listing, but we gotta, this is where you gotta be the marketer again and say that listing is a piece of content. How can I slice this 600 different ways for all the different platforms and best utilize this piece of content? And when you get a second listen, now you get two pieces that you can create content. So listings are content generating things. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, listings are not brick and mortar, right? You're selling a lifestyle. You're not just selling a house or a stone building or, so, your wheels need to be spinning. When I'm walking up to a home, I'm looking at it. I'm assessing the inside, the outside, the curb appeal. Is there deferred maintenance? What would I do to position? What can I highlight? What can I downplay? What can I emphasize? These are all things that are going through my brain, and agents need to do the same thing. And you have to be educated on what consumers want. So put your personal preferences aside. So if, Johnny, I like pink wallpaper and I go on a listing appointment and I have pink wallpaper, it's not about what I like. What are buyers telling us? What is NAR? What are the reports telling us? And put your personal preferences aside, and market research is what matters. So market research. So what does market research say today's buyers want? So you got to position a home so that more buyers will want it. Mr. Seller, do you want to market your home to people that have your same kind of interior design and decorating? Or do you want to open up the pool of buyers and get more qualified eyeball traffic and more showings to a larger pool? If that's the case, we have to neutralize and we have to cater your home towards what market is looking for. So, so number one is mindset. Number two is how are you going to attract opportunities? Again, I told you, other people's broker opens, other people's open houses, do some cancel, do some expired, go do some networking, whether it be your chamber or attending other people's events. And then you could do some, work with some builders and developers and do some digital or print marketing. But there's some things you can do on a $0 budget. And so that's what we covered. And that was Tristan's question. And number two. Number three is the positioning power. Again, I tell agents all the time, you're not in the real estate business. You're in the business of marketing your real estate business. People need to know that what you do for a living, Johnny. If you go on Facebook and somebody, just posted, hey, we just listed our home, and they didn't call you and you sold them the house, that should sting a little bit, okay? And so you got to look in the mirror, like Michael Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Why didn't they call you? Are you not contacting them since you sold them the house? Or how often are you contacting them? Or are you doing drop-bys, handwritten notes? Do they feel loved? Do they remember?
Did something on social media turn them off to you?
That could be too.
And, it could be as simple as I sold one a couple of years ago who their best friend was an agent. I knew the agent. I didn't realize until I got there and was listing that she was the agent. She just wasn't able to find them anything off market or anything. I found one off market, so I listed it. So sometimes it is a weird thing like that, right? But most of the time, man, it could be something that you did. This is why we got to be aware of what, you know, how many times I hit backspace or delete on social media now? You know, it's like, I can't post that, right? So be aware of this thing because they're watching. They're watching. So go ahead. Sorry. And it does sting.
No,
It stings badly.
Don't be sorry at all. So I'm going to share with you a slide that speaks to that in a minute or two. But most people, okay, are here. They're in their little comfort zone. They stay at home. They don't travel. They don't do any prospecting and lead generation outside of their farming or their zip code. But Johnny, the magic happens here.
Yes, sir.
It happens here.
Yeah, that's where the goals are. And I just call the little circle the complacency zone. That's the complacency zone. And the next one over is, man, that's your life zone. You hit your goal zone. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, you want to be average, you stay here. So again, video is a big part of being outside your comfort zone and positioning power, right? I talked about the Facebook Lives at other people's broker opens, or you're working other people's open houses. Video is not a fad. It's not going away. By the way, I just sat through a training on YouTube. You know, it's the second largest search engine out there. Google's number
mammoth.
one.
And if you're not utilizing it, making playlists or utilizing it with descriptions and everything, you're missing the point. And just look at what the videos that are being shared now, right? The agents are doing just for attention, Michael. These parodies and everything else like that. People are putting a lot of time, energy, thought into creating these videos. I mean, they take hours to do something like that. Never mind. If a consumer can see you doing that, imagine what you're going to do for their home.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on.
Crazy.
So, so 4 reasons to use video. Number 1, differentiate yourself. Number 2, it builds trust, which helps conversion. Number 3, of course, Google loves video. And number 4, buyers and sellers want it. You could do Facebook Lives at your listings or your open house. This was a photo shoot. We had 1,200 views within the first day. 1,200. The average YouTube video is around 400 views. We had 1,200 in a day. Okay, 100 likes and comments. And again, don't get me wrong, Johnny. It's not about just the likes, right? It's not about the likes, but when you have likes and you have people that love your post and stuff, it's more shareable. People can share it. They can post on it. And again,
stays up in the algorithm longer in the news feeds and everything too.
Longer. Absolutely. And I guarantee you that your upper end price point listings get more likes and more comments than your entry levels. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'll market the van down by the river better than I think most, but it's not going to get as many likes as the upper end market. So agents should create a YouTube channel. You can do it for free. All you need is a Gmail account. You should start thinking about doing some property videos as we come into the springtime, you know, where you bring in the drones and you do some interior shots and have amazing thumbnails that are clickable and do some Facebook Lives. I brought in 7 luxury cars for a shooting and I was prepared. We did a Facebook Live as these 7 cars came driving through, you know, 2 Rolls Royce, 2 Bentleys, 3 Lamborghinis. It was pretty cool. We used the video brochures. It's a differentiator. When everybody else shows their up with their laptop, you know, show up differently. So I'm just going to leave a couple things here and then we'll do Q&A. But if people want to really increase their average sale price, there's plenty of great resources out there on a $0 budget. I shared with you between podcast and broker opens and going to other conferences, talking to people. But this is really important right here, Johnny. Number 1 is if you hang out with, you know, Zig Ziglar once said, if you hang out with 9 dead broke people, you're bound to be the 10th. I say hang out with 9 top producers and you're bound to be the 10th. And here we are in the day and age of debates and we're in a presidential election year. I need to remind everybody that both Democrats, Republicans, and independents buy and sell a lot of real estate. And you might be alienated 2/3 of your database and your sphere on social media if you are an anti-Trumper or a pro-Trumper or a Elizabeth, it doesn't matter.
I got to tell you, this is a true story from many years ago. It was pre me going to Keller Williams, so it was probably 2010, 2009. In my area, there's this really well-known guy, owns Planet Fitnesses, owns, you know, had this big contract with the NFL and stuff. and he had probably about a $3 million house. Now that's definitely high end, top of the line in my town. Average price is probably 480.
Okay.
500. Whole lot of 750s too, right? But 2, 3, 4 million, only a few sales a year. So anyways, I walked in, we talked and everything else like that. And dude, this was the first time I'd been in anything that big. And I'm sweating profusely. I'm nervous and everything. He walks me out to my car. And, after I'm like, hey, listen, on the way out of here, do you want me to, somebody put some trash at the end of your driveway? Would you like me to grab that? He goes, somebody put some trash down there? I said, yeah, there's an Obama sign. Would you like me to grab it? And it was around Obama's first election. I was young and I was stupid. And he said, well, no, you can leave the sign and you probably won't be hearing from us. Oh, what a stupid ass I was. Oh. Never. Don't do it. Don't do it. I know you might want to. Don't do it.
Oh, my God. Yeah. And that's something. I know that you're absolutely right, though. It's tough.
That comes out of the Johnny Mo book of screw ups.
Yeah. Well, listen, you learned, right? It's unfortunately
big time.
Everybody else, you can learn from other people's mistakes as well. So Johnny just shared with you, Michael Jordan was once asked why he doesn't talk politics. And he said, because Republicans buy sneakers too. Well, I'm here to tell you, Democrats, Republicans, and independents buy a lot of high-end and luxury homes. So watch what you say, online and offline, even in public. I just got to stay neutral, unless you really know. So if you want to connect with me, here's my websites, here's my email. One of my sayings, Johnny, all the time, you see the sign right behind me, right? Mm-hmm. Prove them wrong. It's on the back of my book as well. I love when people tell me you can't do that, or no, you won't be able to do this, or this company doesn't sell luxury, or we're not known for this, or you can't do that. I love challenges. If it were easy, everybody would do it. Now, I do want to share with you something, because we talked a little bit about our designation. It's an online platform where people can log in, they can watch videos, they can go through things. And we cover the first 7 modules, Johnny, are really how to attract more listings, how to get more listings appointments, how to get in front of more high net worth individuals, how to convert them. Conversion is huge. And then the second half of our designation, Luxury Listing Specialist, is you got that listing, great. What the heck are you going to do to get it sold? Now, I do have something special for LCA listeners today.
Uh-oh. Right at that point, you froze up. Where are you? Might have lost you, but what I can see there that a lot of bonuses, right? 90-day fast start. I can tell you, I've sat in on multiple times of Michael presenting, been through his course. We've shared a lot of stuff back and forth. That's when I've gotten to know him. We've been on speaking circuits together, out for pizza at 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Miami. Yeah, he's gone. Oh, you back?
Yes, sir.
We lost you there for a second, so I was just giving you some good shout outs.
Yeah.
I tried to take over. So last we saw was that slide where it said, a bunch of $1,000 in bonuses.
Bottom line for LCA people, if they're interested, I'll throw in that video book and a couple other things, Johnny, for anybody that's interested. We gave free resources. There's something for everybody. We gave free resources, some free content, but for those audience members that are interested, I wanted to throw something in there bonus wise. So they would just use the code LCA at checkout, and that will track it and tag it so we know the bonus items to include for the LCA. So
and where do they go? Luxury Listing?
LuxuryListingSpecialist.com, but we threw that in just for Tristan and Nick and those guys.
Sure.
They've been great to us, so we wanted to throw that in for them.
Yeah, and let me just give a little shout out there. You've been here multiple times, and you wouldn't be allowed, basically, to keep coming back if you had crap, right? If you weren't the real deal, if you weren't vetted, if people weren't speaking highly of you. So that right there, y'all, is a testament. Michael's been here. I've done at least 2 or 3 with you. I know. I've seen you here before.
One in Boston. Remember that you attended one of our live trainings in Boston.
Yep. And the reason you keep coming back is because it's some really good, valuable stuff. And I say this, man. I often ask people, how much are you investing in yourself every year? I invest tens of thousands of dollars either through counseling, going places for meditation. Soon, I'm going to be going for some ayahuasca in Costa Rica. I'm investing in myself, right?
Nice.
But you also need to be investing in yourself in knowledge and expanding I got 4 books on my coffee table upstairs. I read them all every day. I might not be in the mood to read a productivity book. I might be in the mood to read a acceptance book. So I have that. I might be in the mood to read a book about something else, about maybe alien farms or something. You got to invest in yourself and always be expanding your mind. And something like this, how long do they have access to it?
1 year. So I know that agents get busy. So if they need a refresher in July or in September or next January, Lux University is an online platform. It's actually in 10 different languages. Now, the audio isn't in 10 different languages, but the bullets and that sort of thing it's mobile friendly. We built it on a mobile platform first because we want people to be able to use it in the field, on their smartphone, or whatever it might be. And 10 and a half hours of video content, 16 modules. We also offer an upgraded version where there's over 275 templates and documents. I wrote a book called Outside the Box. It's a visual of before and afters, and agents get access to
That's a wicked good book.
And that's hey, by the way, we don't give them a big box of things, Johnny, unfortunately. Like, you got a big box that you sell at your events, but that's a whole nother story for those of you that want the backstory on where I'm going with Johnny. You got to ask him about what happened in Miami. It was the best prank of all time. You were a great sport about it, and that's something I'll be talking about till my grave. It was awesome.
That was great. I'm not going to lie. That was funny stuff. But y'all, let me just say this. This is, if you're getting into the luxury market, if you're getting into the higher end market, man, it's like getting into the NFL, right? You're a football player and you get into the NFL. Imagine to go play football on a Division III college team next, right? So you're going to be able to bring all that skill back down. So even if you don't make luxury your main market, the stuff that you're going to learn in the course is going to help you shred it down in the other areas. It's really going to help you shred it because it's the highest level. It's the highest level of awareness for what we do.
Think about it. Somebody moving to your town, they don't know much about price point. They don't know a whole lot, but they land on your website, Johnny. They see you have a lot of entry-level properties, a lot of average, but you have a couple high-end and luxury in there. It's that credibility. Oh, Johnny represents all ends of the spectrum. Are there any other questions that Tristan or anybody else has?
Not where I can see here and not where I can see on the other screen. So what we're going to say is, man, if y'all have any questions, just put them in here. We'll get tagged because we're tagged. And, we'll get them answered. Besides that, one more time, $597 and get a bunch of savings. You have it for a year long. Go through it, learn something. Use the code LCA. Go to LuxuryListingSpecialist.com. Right.
Yeah, we go to checkout. There's a promo code. Use LCA. That's how we tag. That's how we know the bonus item, because literally we don't give the bonus items out. This is something that's unique for LCA.
Cool. Well, man, that's it.
Man.
I guess if there's no questions, we're out. A couple people laughed at OPP.
Yeah.
And man, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time.
All right. Appreciate you.
Peace out.
All right. Peace.